Madagascar's president has appointed Christian Nsay as the country's new prime minister after Olivier Mahafali resigned. The new prime minister's appointment is aimed at ending a political crisis as the country prepares for elections due this year. Mr. Mahafali resigned the premiership to comply with a court ruling that ordered the formation of a consensus government.
Madagascar has a new prime minister whose appointment is aimed at ending a political crisis as the country prepares for elections this year. The International Labour Organization representative Christian Nsay took over from Olivier Mahafali, who resigned the premiership earlier on Monday, to comply with a court ruling that ordered the formation of a consensus government. The opposition has not officially responded to the appointment, although some analysts say they expect them to challenge it, potentially prolonging the crisis and sparking more protests.
The court responded to something they were not asked. It did not respond to what was asked of them. The request was for the resignation of the President of the Republic, acknowledging that the President of the Republic is at fault. The court did not apply the appropriate judgment. They clumsily dissolved the government. Yet, they were not asked to do that, and the worst thing is that the court is more interested in political agreement than decisions.
With no lawmakers in parliament, the ruling party struggled to reach a decision on the new prime minister, saying Mr. Christian Nsay was the best neutral choice with the qualities and knowledge to lead the country to the presidential election. The court ordered the president to name new ministers within 7 days of the appointment of a prime minister who reflect all the political parties with representatives in parliament. The government will then, together with the electoral body, organize the forthcoming elections.
Still to come on the program, a South African who murdered his family members with an axe to be sentenced on Thursday. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In Angola, a human rights group is calling for an investigation into a video appearing to show police officers carrying out a cold-blooded execution on the streets of the capital, Luanda. Human Rights Watch say the short video, which was shared on social media, shows a man lying on the road being approached by police. A few seconds later, the sound of gunshots ring out and then the camera settles on the man's unmoving body. Angola's interior minister admitted that the officers shot the man, allegedly part of a criminal gang they were chasing, adding that disciplinary action was being taken. However, it is unclear what form will be taken on the officers. The price of petrol is at an all-time high in South Africa, with a midnight increase that has seen motorists lamenting. At midnight, the retail price of petrol increased by 82% per litre, pushing the petrol price to above 15 rand a litre. That's about 450 naira, the third consecutive fuel hike this year. The increases have been attributed to the rise in oil prices and a weaker rand. Some analysts do not see this hike as the last. The rand depreciated to $12.80 as at today's business. According to the Minister of Energy, the rand's movements were mainly influenced by global factors. The rand went through a period of volatility in April, mainly due to concerns over the China-USA trade tariff dispute that put pressure on the currencies of emerging markets, including South Africa.
Pay more for fuel, I guess, but I guess we just have to be more careful about how far we drive and how long we drive.
Yeah, it's really going to affect us. I mean, it's going up by 80 cents a litre. So that's why now I'm filling up, it's on half now, so it's going really to affect us.
It's killing me. It's killing me in any possible way. Even my income won't be going up. Instead, I feel like it's going down. I've lost faith in my government. Okay. Yeah, I've completely lost faith in it. Yeah.
My usage is fairly small by comparison to the average commuter because I work in the area that I live. But the knock-on effect is going to be huge in terms of food prices, everything goes up because of transport. So we all feel feeling it big time.
Well, staying in South Africa, a High Court judge says convicted triple murderer Henry Van Breda, who was found guilty of murder, will be sentenced on Thursday. Last month, the 23-year-old was found guilty by South Africa's Western Cape High Court of murdering his parents and brother with an axe, whilst also seriously injuring his sister Marley in the family's Stellenbosch home in January 2015. Van Breda had pleaded not guilty, saying that a balaclava-clad intruder committed the attack before fleeing the scene after Van Breda confronted him. Judge Siraj Desai told a sentencing hearing that he owed it to the accused and to society generally to consider the sentence for a few more days.
Although this may appear to be relatively uncomplicated, I think I owe it to the accused, to society generally, to at least consider the sentence for a few days. Judgment will end, sorry, Mr. Van Breda. A sentence will be delivered at 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 7th of June. Mr. Van Breda remanded in custody.
Meanwhile, in East and Southern Africa, about 120 million children are being held back because of harrowing challenges. According to a study by British trials agency Save the Children, conflict, widespread poverty and gender discrimination are threatening childhoods across the world.
The new report released by the British charity says that over half of the world's children, or 1.2 billion minors, are threatened by events that rob them of their childhood. According to the children's agency Save the Children, these disruptions are more prevalent in countries where conflict, poverty and discrimination against girls remain a challenge.
So what we found actually in Africa is that the bottom 15 countries in the index are all African. And taking the examples of Somalia and South Sudan, so South Sudan is 5 from the bottom, Somalia is 6. In Somalia we have the highest levels of under 5 child mortality in the world, at 13%. And in South Sudan we've got 2/3 of kids out of school. And so these countries are affected by those 3 factors. They're conflict, extreme poverty, and severe gender discrimination. And so we see that toxic mix then prevents most kids in those countries from reaching their full potential.
This 14-year-old girl lives in Kenya's Dadaab refugee camp. She's originally from South Sudan, but fled her home country together with her mother when conflict broke out. She later got pregnant by an older boy who promised to help support her and her sick mother if they started a relationship. But she now struggles to attend school after the boy disappeared and left her to raise the baby on her own.
It is bad because I've not experienced the things that people do when they're young playing. I've not played well and I have a lot of stress having the baby at this age. And I'm the only person who knows the future of my baby. Taking care of her, it is only my responsibility for what I know. Even me, sometimes I feel like stopping the school and look for a job just for my baby because sometimes she cried. See her in that condition make me cry even. When I see her, she's very thin and I'm seeing some kids that are very healthy. That makes me sad.
The United Nations say more than 1 in 5 Africans aged 6 to 11 are not in school. Girls in particular are more likely never to see a classroom, waylaid by child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
We need a significant acceleration of investment in children in countries across the world, not just in Africa, but across the world, so that we can achieve these goals. People talk a lot about the population dividend in Africa. If we don't invest in education, if we don't invest in health or protection, there will be no population dividend on this continent. In fact, it'll be quite the opposite.
While some countries have made progress, the report says much more still needs to be done to protect children globally.
And that's how we wrap up Network Africa at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.